LeBron James really just ducked Steph Curry. Lester Quinones gets ejected with 12 seconds left in the game, and Steve Kerr as well just got extended. 2 games back from All-Star break, and everybody's talking about the Warriors. Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Swish Culture. Over the course of the Warriors' first 2 games back from All-Star break, the Warriors are shutting up critics left and right while managing to bring out the most vitriolic trolls out from under their mom's bridges. LeBron James saw the Warriors beat 2 bombers and decided to lay low while his team got massacred, knowing full well it didn't matter whether he played or not. At least this way he doesn't get to shoulder any of the blame, and his record against Steph and Curry looks better. As much as I would like to say I'm baffled as to how the league has let LeBron slide by not punishing him for resting against a marquee matchup, the reason is quite obvious. It's LeBron James. More on this, as well as how the Warriors managed to come up with back-to-back wins while Lester Quinones and Grant Williams get tied up into a knot with seconds left on the whistle. Before that though, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content on the planet. Now get ready. You're about to get swished. All-Star Weekend came and went, and aside from Jaylen Brown putting up the worst dunks in dunk contest history and yet coming out with the most ridiculous scores to top it off, you really have to wonder the motivation behind the judges of the dunk contest. That wasn't even close, and it was clear that Mac McClung and Jacob Toppin should have been the finalists. That said, you could only have one winner, which was going to be McClung anyways, and though it shouldn't have been that close, justice was eventually served. I mean, really. Jumping over 5'4" Kai Cenat sitting on a chair. That being said, the All-Star game that followed was very high scoring. We saw LeBron start the All-Star game. Wait, how did LeBron start in the All-Star game, yet get an injury excuse to miss his first game back against the Warriors?
Swish. It is very obvious what happened here. LeBron James wet his pants when he saw how the Warriors were playing and had no desire to play them when he had back-to-back games.
Whoa there, Iras. You can't just come out here talking like that. This is the king we're talking about.
Which king? The ducking? It is clear he was ducking Golden State. There is no way you have an injury one night and then be cleared to play over 35 minutes the very next night. The NBA has made it clear that players are not to rest against marquee matchups, and LeBron James did this against Golden State. If the league doesn't punish LeBron James, expect an outcry from load-managing Clippers players. Marquee players who would like to take it easy in the regular season and save themselves for the playoffs.
All true, but let's not forget that the league gave an exception to certain players that allows the Lakers to sit LeBron in back-to-back games if they contact the commissioner and give him a week's notice. So Adam Silver knew about LeBron James, or had to have known about LeBron James' intention to miss this Warriors matchup beforehand.
And it's clear why the NBA made that rule. This is specifically a LeBron rule that allows him to duck good teams and play against the weaker team on a back-to-back, thereby ensuring his team gets at least one win. In this instance, LeBron ducked Curry in a game the Lakers were likely to lose, after which, of course, they would be too tired to play the young Spurs and lose as well. Very strategic way to take advantage of the very rule Adam Silver put in place to help LeBron in his attempt to secure his 5th ring. Alright, later Swish. I think my iron thrusters just went LeBron on me.
Something tells me Iras isn't buying LeBron's ankle injury or the Lakers' interest in playing fair. But anyway, if you were hoping that the Warriors would move on from Steve Kerr after this season, you're in for another 2 years of misery. On the other hand, if you've been a fan of what Kerr brings to the team, this is some good news. The Warriors have locked in Steve Kerr with a 2-year $35 million contract extension. Now this extension is interesting for a number of reasons. The first is that, at first, the two parties couldn't agree on a deal for Steve Kerr. Monty Williams got signed in the offseason with the Pistons on a 6-year $78.5 million contract, and just recently, Miami Heat coach Eric Spoelstra got signed to an even more lucrative 8-year $120 million contract. While these contracts look enormous, and they are, Steve Kerr is now the highest paid coach in NBA history with over $17 million per year on his short 2-year deal, which, no surprise, coincides with Steph Curry's free agency. This echoes what I've said before. As long as Steph Curry is on this team, Steve Kerr will continue to be his coach. While this season saw some of the worst times for this team, the recent surge for Golden State has everything to do with what is basically the reaffirmation of Lacob's trust in Steve Kerr. While I'd like to dive into a lot more on that and discuss the whys and why nots of that situation, that will have to wait for another video. The Lakers played the Warriors without LeBron, and surprise, surprise, the Lakers had their backs blown out by almost 20 points. The refs noted the amount of criticism they received last game, and without LBJ, decided to play it safe so the bias wasn't as blatant. Or maybe it was when you consider the fact that they all knew ahead of time that LeBron wasn't going to be playing. The last time the Warriors played the Lakers, the game went to double overtime, with the Lakers getting a 1-point victory handed to them with around 40 free throws. That was plenty of incentive for the Lakers to rest LeBron and live with last night's results. This would allow them to come away with at least one win instead of a potential 2 losses, only holding on to the 9th seed for a few brief remaining moments until they inevitably get overtaken by Golden State. It was clear from the onset that this was going to be Stephen Curry's night. The Lakers typically have Jared Vanderbilt guarding Curry, and since there was no Jared Vanderbilt, his replacement Taurean Prince gave Stephen Curry a bit more room to operate. Or rather, Stephen Curry took that room and created it. Steph started out hitting his first few shots from distance with an offense that was bolstered by Wiggins, who was hitting his jumpers as well. Unfortunately, the Warriors were barely able to hold on to a single possession lead by the time subs came in halfway through the first quarter. The lack of size in the paint was very apparent, and the Lakers were trying to take advantage. Once the second unit with Clay, Moody, and Looney came in, they did take full advantage. Whereas the Warriors were able to maintain a small lead on the Lakers with the starting unit, Klay Thompson came out firing tough, contested, and fading shots, some unnecessarily difficult, missing 4 in a row. Add that to the lacking defense this unit displayed, and the Lakers quickly went on a run to get ahead of the Warriors. Kerr quickly countered by bringing Kuminga and Pods back in with 2.5 minutes left to go, and the Warriors recovered their lead, ending the first quarter up 3. It also helped that Klay Thompson relaxed a bit on throwing up more shots than he had completed passes. I posted that Klay should focus less on being the best player on the floor and more on being the most valuable player on the floor. While the reactions to this were non-existent, we did see this exact scenario play out in the second quarter. One unexpected change was that we saw TJD enter the game alongside Sharp. Now, while these two had played in the game before, something became very apparent to me about putting these two players together. Now, the coaching reason for putting them together on the floor, at least from Kerr's perspective, is that Saric stretches the floor, which gives him the ability to play TJD at the 5 while playing Wiggins, Clay, and Pods. Kerr is attempting to mimic the starting lineup with playmaking at the 1 with Pods as well as at the 4 with Saric. The problem is that for his entire career, Saric has averaged less than 2 assists per game. Running the offense through Saric as a playmaker or Clay as a primary scorer is problematic. This was a bit different, however. Kerr instead had Clay as the primary playmaker with TJD as the finisher. The two-man game between Clay and TJD sparked an explosive second quarter for Trace, with Clay racking up assists and looking less and less for his own shot. For the next 6 minutes, the Warriors would punish the Lakers with something they literally had no mechanism within the team to stop. While the offense was great, however, they still struggled to stop the Lakers defensively. They kept getting to the basket and stayed even with the Warriors until the first unit returned. With 4.5 minutes left in the first half, the Warriors' defense quickly improved and the offense continued to click despite switching to Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins. By the end of the first half, the Warriors were up by 11. With TJD having scored 13 points in just 6 first-half minutes, he sat the entire third quarter with Steve Kerr maintaining a rigid schedule. With 1 minute left in the third, Anthony Davis left the game. He was clearly gassed and was going to be a liability on defense. The Warriors then had 2 unanswered baskets that put them up 16 over the Lakers. The fourth quarter went pretty much the same as the second. TJD and Saric enter the game and Clay initially starts putting up shots. With AD resting, this was their opportunity to ice the game, but just the opposite happened. The Lakers cut the deficit to 10 before Wiggins hit back-to-back shots on Saric assists. With the Lakers obviously still in the game, It's as if Clay remembered what worked in the second quarter and fed TJD a couple more times, keeping that Warriors double-digit lead well into the fourth. None of this, though, would have happened without the insistence of Draymond, however, who convinced Kerr to leave TJD out on the floor while he stayed on the bench. This type of leadership is what now bridges the gap between the younger players and the veterans. This is the type of leadership that will allow this team to win. With 6 minutes remaining and AD clearly done for the night, the Lakers waved the white flag. This same team without LeBron whipped the Boston Celtics and probably thought they could upset the Warriors. The Lakers got closed out by Jerome Robinson. After putting away the Lakers, the Warriors came out to perform on a back-to-back. The Hornets, who were also on a back-to-back after having beaten the Utah Jazz and were on a 4-game win streak, were probably feeling pretty good about themselves. Maybe a little too spicy as things got heated near the end of the fourth. But what led to that debacle? Well, it all started in the first quarter. Both teams were clearly tired from having a game just the night before. To top it all off, the Hornets were missing their star point guard LaMelo Ball, who seems to be experiencing some very similar difficulties to what Stephen Curry did in his early years with ankle injuries. This is his second time out just this year, and with the Hornets being the third worst team in the Eastern Conference going into post-All-Star break competition, I expect the Hornets franchise to take their time in returning him, especially since they need to evaluate the bevy of players they've received in trades for Gordon Hayward and PJ Washington. The trade with Washington specifically included one important trade piece, that's Steph Curry, who wasn't available in the last matchup against the Mavericks but was suited up to play for the Hornets. While both teams gave a lot of effort on defense, neither team was able to comfortably score the ball. Between the 10-minute and 8-minute marker, neither team scored a single field goal. This also happened again for another 2-minute period between the 3:50 and 1:54 mark. The Warriors' leading scorer at the end of the first quarter was Gary Payton II, who put up 8 points in the period, which was more than half of the 15 points the Hornets team put up against the Warriors in the same period. The second quarter was even worse than the first. Again, between the 10-minute and 47-second mark and the 7-minute and 45-second mark, not a single point was scored. An entire 3 minutes of basketball without either team scoring. Not even a free throw. With 7 minutes left in the second quarter, the scores were 24-20. 24-20! Halfway through the second quarter, for a moment there I felt like I stopped by the park to catch a pickup game. From turnovers to bricks, it was so bad, Steve Kerr called a timeout after a Brandon Miller turnover. The rest of the second quarter improved, but with scores of 21 points for Golden State and 14 for Charlotte in that period, both teams were desperately in need of that halftime break by the time it got there. The third quarter saw much better offense from both teams, however the Warriors' lead grew by over 20 points. At the end of the third, the Hornets had scored only 52 points, down 21. The fourth quarter, however, was as strange as it could get. With the Warriors continuing to pummel the Hornets, at the 4:19 mark, Moses Moody drove hard to the basket and was hit with an offensive foul after he made contact with Micic, a 30-year-old rookie from Serbia. While the contact left Micic in a pile on the floor with a bloody mouth, the result of Moody's drive to the basket, my opinion on the matter is that this was absolutely not a foul. Steve Kerr's coaching staff agreed with me on that as well, since they challenged the call after the refs had reviewed it themselves. The reason the refs reviewed it? To see if the foul was a flagrant. Now, the last time I checked, an offensive foul is either an offensive player charging into a set defender, a non-basketball play, or extending their arms in an unnatural basketball motion that results in unnecessary contact. None of these were the case with Moody, yet was still ruled as a foul. Again, these 50-50 calls are against the Warriors 9 times out of 10. With 12 seconds left on the clock as the Warriors were about to close out their second post-All-Star break win, what was almost a brawl ensued as Grant Williams took offense to something that just transpired on the court. With less time on the game clock than the shot clock, rather than take a turnover, Lester Quinones called for a pass from Pods, who was dribbling out the clock. Pods found him and Lester put up the shot, which was goaltended by Miles Bridges. Bridges then pushed Quinones in frustration, who pushed back, which drew the attention of the refs and, well, everybody else, including Grant Williams. Williams immediately charged towards Quinones where the two hugged it out.
I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. This, today, is one of
Clearly, Williams was upset about the loss and needed to wrap his arms around another grown man to feel a bit less marginalized. Clearly, Williams was upset about more than just that layup. After voicing his displeasure with playing on the Mavericks around the time he got traded, Williams might still be harboring some ill feelings. As Draymond said,
"Pray for Grant Williams."
the Warriors are now just 3 games in the loss column behind the 5th seed. A run at the 5th or 6th seed for the Warriors seems very doable at this point. Or will that be too difficult? Let me know what you guys think. Post your thoughts in the comments below. Just don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Swish!